So I want to talk with you all today about how we create a world powered by 100% clean energy, and where the profits from our energy system flow mainly to people and to small businesses instead of to giant banks and energy. About a decade ago, I dropped out of Yale and founded what became the largest youth organization in the world working on climate and clean energy issues, called the Energy Action Coalition. But it wasn't until I fell in love that I actually began to understand how our energy system works. My wife, Wahala, is from a region called Black Mesa on the northern part of the Navajo Reservation. The Black Mesa is home to what was once the largest coal strip mine in North America. For over 40 years, Peabody Coal Company has been mining coal out of Black Mesa and powering the neon lights in Las Vegas and the air conditioning units in Phoenix and the homes in Los Angeles. And the Navajo Nation has no ownership stake in this mine. There's over 50% unemployment on Black Mesa. The mine has used water, enormous amounts of water over those 40 years and destroyed the aquifer that is the only source of drinking water in the whole region. Wahala and I are building a home up on Black Mesa, on land that's been in her family for generations. And it's just over the hill from the mine. And here's a picture that she took of our two little girls on Black Mesa last summer. And you can see in the horizon coal dust and smoke from an explosion at the mine. Khalil Gibran said, our work is love made visible. Right? And in the story of Black Mesa is the story of our current energy system. Giant energy companies destroying communities, making record profits, and destabilizing our climate. And we are all mostly passive energy consumers of the electricity that they generate. The average American thinking about their energy use, just 6 minutes a year. In 2011, two professors, Mark Jacobson from Stanford and Mark DeLucci from UC Davis, asked whether we could power the entire world with wind, water, and the sun. And like others who have conducted similar analyses, they came to the conclusion that there are, quote, no technological or economic barriers to powering the entire planet with clean, renewable energy sources. We know this, right? We know we can do this. It's going to take building 3.8 million wind turbines, 90,000 large solar power plants, and our rooftops are going to have to shine because we're going to need 1.7 billion rooftop solar arrays all across Peru, all around the world. In Jacobson and DeLucci's model, we're getting 50% of our energy from wind, 34% from large solar, 6% from rooftop solar, and the remaining 10% from wave, tidal, small hydro. It's going to cost $100 trillion It's hard to wrap your mind around a number that big, right? Is anybody else struggling with how to think about $100 trillion? That's because, put simply, building a new clean energy economy is the single biggest business opportunity on the planet. Right? That's exciting. We should be excited about it. But we've got a long way to go, right? We know. We get globally a third of our power from oil still today, 28% from coal, 22% from natural gas, 6% from nukes. Who's got the quick math on what's left?
11.
Nice. 11% from renewables. But also, virtually all of the profits from our current energy system flow to a few giant companies. In 2012, ExxonMobil was making $122 million in profits per day.
Wow.
Right? The fossil fuel industry has every incentive to block the transition to clean energy, and they have spent hundreds of millions of dollars doing just that. The $52 million that Exxon spent in the first 3 years of the Obama administration lobbying them is just half a day's profit. And Exxon isn't even close to being the world's largest energy company. In fact, the 13 largest energy companies in the world are all owned by national governments. So if you think we have a problem between the separation of oil and state here in the US, imagine fighting big fossil fuels in Russia, home to Gazprom, the world's largest producer of natural gas. And yet, in spite of all of this, the tide turns. We are at the dawn of a new era. When I was born, solar panels cost $75 a watt, right? The main place you could see them was on a satellite or temporarily on the White House when Jimmy Carter lived there, right? They're now 75 cents a watt, okay? Wind has seen similar dramatic price decreases during the same time. And as we've burned the most readily available fossil fuel reserves, what's begun to happen to fossil fuels? Prices are going up. Coal. And even natural gas. Even though with fracking here in the US, we've significantly increased the short-term supply, over the last decade around the world, natural gas prices have doubled. And the Energy Information Administration says that they will continue to rise over the next 30 years. So prices vary within different markets. I pulled together all of this from, lots of different sources, and you can see, you get a sense of the global picture. But this is really what's happening, right? Fossil fuels are it's a finite resource that we're burning up very quickly, that they're on the rise, and the cost of renewables is going down. Solar in particular is a semiconductor technology, which means it's following close to Moore's law. So you'd think that we've got $100 trillion of highly profitable critical infrastructure that we need to fund, right? This is great stuff for banks to fund, like we've got it covered, right? The markets will take care of this. Unfortunately, at the current rate of global investment, it will take 400 years to finance 100% clean energy around the world. we need to speed things up. We need new sources of capital. We all need to get into the game of making this transition happen. And it hasn't been possible until recently. The problem is that our current financial system was designed for financing the big stuff, right? Banks know how to do the underwriting and due diligence to finance a $500 million coal plant. But if you go to that same bank for a $100,000 loan to finance a solar project, you're going to be out of luck. They don't know how to do that. The system wasn't designed to do that. But fortunately, the internet has now given us the tools to create a new kind of financial ecosystem to build a new kind of energy system. Imagine how profound this change would be. Imagine energy entrepreneurs like Donna having the access to capital to build businesses making their own communities energy independent. Imagine homeowners making a better return on investment on the solar panels on their roof than in the stock market. Imagine farmers grazing with cattle and crops grazing beneath community-owned wind turbines. Imagine the coal fields of Black Mesa replaced by solar fields built and owned by the Navajo people. Imagine a place you care about. Imagine coming together with your community. Imagine the SVN community coming together and picking places that they thought solar should be and making that happen. In so many senses of the word, we will be generating power. This is not pie in the sky either. It is already happening in one of the strongest economies in the world. Germany gets about as much sunlight as Alaska. But last summer set a world record by getting over half of its energy from the sun. Amazing. Portugal got 70% of their energy from renewables in the first quarter of 2013. But do you know who owns the energy, this new clean energy capacity in Germany? Guess. The people. Only 6.5% is owned by major utilities. Over half is owned by individuals and farmers. Imagine the different dynamics in the political conversations when the people own the clean energy future. It's exciting. The company that I helped start, Mosaic, is the first mass market investment platform for the clean energy economy. So while Warren Buffett has invested over $4 billion in solar projects in California in the last couple of years, and big banks have been making great returns investing in clean energy for decades, Mosaic now lets people get into the game too, for as little as $25. After a year and a half of what felt like smashing our faces against a brick wall with the regulators at the Securities and Exchange Commission and state securities regulators, we, in January, got approval to offer our investments to regular people, to So we can offer investments to anyone in California, to people in New York, and to accredited investors in all 50 states. And we're working as hard as we can to expand the places that we can offer this model. But when we first offered the first round of investments in January, they were all sold out in less than 24 hours. $315,000 was invested by 435 people to fully finance 4 solar projects in California. A couple weeks ago, we released another project on a Ronald McDonald House here in San Diego. was $152,000, and in 6 hours, it was fully subscribed. Just yesterday, we listed our biggest project yet, $700,000 solar project on a convention center in New Jersey, Wildwood Convention Center. And it's not sold out yet, but over $225,000 has been raised in about 20 hours for this project. This is a new model that can scale.
Wow.
We now have 1,300 individual investors from 44 states, 13,000 users. We've made $2.1 million in loans to date, and we have 0 defaults and 100% on-time payments. We'd love to work with you all. Thank you so much for having me here. This is a model that can scale to so many other things. This is the future of finance. This is the future of energy. Next.